All right, if everybody's working, we'll call this meeting to order. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
We have a motion, we have a second. All right, any questions, comments from the board regarding the agenda? Pretty cut and dry. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of minutes for the regular meeting on June 28th, 2016.
I make the motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting on June 28th, 2016.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
We have a second. All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's go into non-action items. Discussion of the ICIP and future capital improvements. Mr. Williams. All right, we go.
Fix something real quick. So what we have really is not a lot to report. Of course, our splash pad is finished.
Good.
100%?
All right, 100%. I know this is kind of skipping ahead, but one of the things that we're looking at doing, so we're starting to see decreased use, is we're going to go ahead and shut it down and winterize it October 1st.
Okay.
So we'll have some actual costs on what that is costing us utility-wise, chemical-wise, for budget next year, just so we can see how close the predictions were, or estimates were, as far as utilities for that. Right now, there's not any other improvements planned for this site. Of course, the AstroTurf sand, but it's running pretty good. They did replace a feature. One of the feet, I think it was the orange. It kind of made like this umbrella thing with water. They did replace that due to the fact that when the engineers drew up the plans, they put in a line that was too small, and basically that feature would never work right, so they replaced it with a feature that did work. It's a little bit taller, sprays just as much water. But on our ICIP, of course, the City Commission, they did approve it at the last City Commission meeting. So really today, we met the intent of the ordinance with a quarterly meeting, is just kind of go over those projects and get everybody thinking. The biggest one perhaps is our sports complex. That's actually the second priority for the ICIP. One thing that I would like to say is, even though it's on the ICIP, it's not a guarantee that the project's going to move forward at this point, because we need to have funding for it. We do have some funding, but this is an estimated $2.6 million cost, and that's just kind of putting pencil to paper and just some estimates. So one of the things we're looking at, hopefully about a 15 to 20 acre complex. These were just some layouts that I had pulled off the internet. It's multi-sport. We have a need for additional, well actually we have a need for dedicated soccer fields. We could always stand for more softball, more baseball, football fields, running track, you name it, for the different sports that we have in Lovington. So I know a 15-acre site will hold a baseball cloverleaf, a softball cloverleaf, 4 soccer fields, and 2 full-size football fields. But we need to really start thinking whenever we do proceed with this project. Of course, we have to acquire land. We don't have that type of land available to us. That would be within a prime location within the city. But we need to start thinking about what sports, what amenities that we want to proceed with, and kind of a layout. A big discussion also is to look at the pros and cons of doing AstroTurf versus irrigation, irrigating all that grass. I think it may be a little bit more expensive up front, but whenever you're looking at water conservation, long-term maintenance, it may actually
How
be
long
a
does that
wash.
last, the AstroTurf?
It really depends on the field use. I believe, talking with Bill Lewis over at the schools, I think like the AstroTurf on the football field, it has about a 10-year lifespan. You just gotta make, the UV out here just really kills artificial turf. But it depends on the usage.
And
I know
probably the color too.
the color may fade. I know that our Wildcat Stadium is starting to kind of show its age with the AstroTurf out there. But those are some of the considerations that we have. When talking about this facility, it is going to be a long-term investment. You know, looking at even at lighting. If we go strictly underground, more expensive up front, it's more eye-appealing. However, we could hopefully reduce some of our energy costs by using LED lighting. I don't know if that's even a possibility with the sports field type lighting at this point. It would be really nice if we could go with a solar option, but I don't know that we could actually get the wattage out of the solar lights.
I know that the fairgrounds, all their new lighting for the stadium is LED.
Okay. So those are just some of the considerations. This would be a project that we would actually hire somebody to plan out and design. It wouldn't be something that staff could really sit down and do it justice. It's a big long-term investment.
Just a couple of things, Jake.
Yes, sir.
We'll just make sure we're all on the same page. Andrew, you aware what an ICIP is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
It's an infrastructure capital improvement plan. You want to kind of,
Sure. I guess you would say it's kind of like a 5-year plan or a goal. It identifies projects that are a capital investment, which if you look at the state procurement, really anything that will cost $50,000 or more, not state procurement, but guidelines, $50,000 or more goes on this plan. It just kind of helps with budgeting. You get it on the ICIP, it helps with potential federal funding with grants. So we prioritize this every year. This year, actually, we have about $74.5 million worth of projects in that 5-year plan, which in reality, we don't have access to that kind of capital. But at least we have this on our plan. We kind of have long-term forecasts. We know what we want to do. It's just instead of a spur of the moment, it's actually a thought-out plan that we have for years.
James, on the ICIP plan for last year, how many projects were you able to complete? Sorry. Just so Andrew will know
Can't show.
that stuff. does happen.
Actually, if you look on, well, with those the plan that we did last year, I know we completed our splash pad. We completed the commercial street reconstruction. We did our playground equipment. The irrigation system was another one. And actually, if you look at our ICIP this year, you already see some of the, we're going to talk about a couple, where funding's already secured for those, but they're still on that plan because they're not complete yet. And you can see that complete list on our website, Lovington.org. If you look over on the left-hand side, it has the ICIP tab, and it's a PDF that you can look at.
something else to consider also, and I don't know how true this is, but the previous high school soccer coach here did not want to practice at the high school stadium because of the turf. He said the players did not want to, they could play in burns anytime they fall or slide, whatever like that. They did not want to practice on turf or much less play on turf.
It's hotter.
That is a consideration, is that, yeah, that thing, it soaks up heat. We had looked at that potentially for the inside of the swimming pool, looking at artificial turf, but several people had said you may not want to do that, especially if it's going to come into contact with that much bare skin. So those are just some of the considerations.
Sure.
It may be, well, I know baseball, everybody loves the new Hobbs complex. They have a lot of AstroTurf over there. But, soccer field, do we need to have that on there? Who knows? But I think that hiring a design firm that specializes in this, they would be able to properly address and make sure that we get something that the entire community wants.
Exactly.
We go to several tournaments a year in Haas for co-ed softball and usually, and the weather was 100 degrees, but on the turf it was 118 degrees, and you're standing by the fields and you can smell it burning. You can smell.
That's
But it's hot. It's hot. It's not.
Next project that we have listed, it's actually project 6, is the amphitheater, to redesign that. We're looking at least $250,000. The vision for that is to make it into something that's actually usable other than a large shelter. It will be wired with electricity to where we could have really good outdoor concerts, movies in the park, different designs. We have had interest from an independent entity to potentially partner on this project. Problem we have is with revenues the way they are right now, this is a project that we're going to need to tap the brakes on. It would be a general fund expenditure, even though it's listed in our ICIP, and we can use capital improvement funds. Really, this is kind of a lower priority compared to some of the other projects, but there is potential out there. That's what we would depend on this board too, is also come up with some design considerations for it. Neighborhood park, of course, at the southwest corner of town does not have a park. All of our parks are focused really up on the northern and eastern side. So we do not have land for this, but just kind of a small neighborhood park, which what we consider a neighborhood park is simply just maybe a 1 or 2 acre tract, has some playground equipment. All of our parks right now have the same, neighborhood parks have the same amenities, with the exception of Martin Luther King Park. That actually has its own restroom. But our other neighborhood parks, FMD really isn't a neighborhood park, but the Birch Park, Pope Park, and Birch and Pope, that's it. Those actually all have playground equipment and shade structures.
I was going to ask you about this during the last meeting, James. Do we have any idea where we might put it?
Kind of over in the area where you are, where your residence is.
Like right across the street?
Sure. No, we don't have land, and that's one of the things when we were seeing a lot of the subdivision development is to see if we could convince one of the developers to potentially donate, when they subdivide, donate 1 or 2 tracts of land to us, or give it to us at a very reasonable rate.
Maybe Robbie will be with us.
That's what I'm saying.
Robbie owns some of our real land.
That's right.
Of course, priority number 12 in 2018 is, and this is not what it'll look like, but the Love Street baseball field, $59,500 to remodel that facility, to bring it up to ADA compliance, and also working restrooms, do some work on the exterior and also in the concession stand. This is budgeted for this year, but it is a general fund appropriation, and capital projects right now are on hold, just because of revenues. So hopefully when revenues pick up, this will be one of the projects that we'll start working on. Of course, 2019, our multi-use trail. This is going to be right around $1 million. Over 50% of the funding has been secured through a federal grant. That money cannot be used for anything else but this particular project. It's through what they call the Rails to Trails program. It's federal Highway Works Administration money. We are doing the design right now. However, as far as construction, that's still a while down the road.
And that's to go from downtown to Chaparral Park.
Yes,
How's it gonna cross the highway?
with a signalized crosswalk.
Right.
Is there going to be 2 lanes like that?
No, sir.
Okay.
We actually are, the Avenue D crossing is challenging, but we've been assured that it's not nothing that we can't get past. The Sky Bridge is not part of the equation. That would just break the bank. But we are looking at partnering with Lee County because they want to do some enhancements to the commercial street frontage. Also, it'll tie in nicely with the new judicial complex because the plan is to go down Commercial, cross Avenue D, and then come down Central. It'll tie in with that new judicial complex.
So crossing that really, we have some kind of traffic control device?
We would need, yes, sir, we would.
Like what did you think?
That's part of the engineers come up with a plan on that, but we still are in the process of getting the contract put together with them so we can start on that project. Some of it, we're looking at lighting enhancements, water fountains. We're even trying to get a restroom at either the beginning. I would love to get 2 restrooms in on this, but just some public facilities.
Is this in phases? Like, are you gonna start phase? or-
That's another design consideration, is to look at the overall estimated cost on it. And if we have to phase it, we will. Of course, the park fountain and stream, we're looking at a total rework concrete. This is just an estimate. I know that we do have the pump in, but it's a matter of getting electricians, water department, parks department all together to where we can start on restoring that fountain up front. What we're just to update you on the history of that fountain actually uses our chlorinated water. And right now, whenever it runs, it disappears about halfway down the old river stream. We don't know where it goes. So the plan is to actually put in a liner along there with contours, make it look really nice to where it will actually not use our chlorinated drinking water, but it'll actually be supplied through our water well. And that way we can feed the lake that way. But that project, of course, we're looking at quite a bit of concrete work. As far as the plumbing and stuff, it seems fairly straightforward.
So the latter part will be the concrete?
Unless there's another material, yes.
So once we get that going, we can have the first responder tug water back on the street, because I missed it last year.
Exactly, yes.
I would like to see it this year.
Of course, the next one, Commercial Street, that complex there, replacing the concession stand, score box, also putting in some working restrooms there. So we're looking at a fairly extensive, do what?
Looks like a prison.
It does look like a prison. I was thinking The Walking Dead. If we need an elevated score box, I don't know. Like I said, this is just a
These
picture.
are the fields across the street from the chaparral.
Yes.
Is that gonna include new bleachers and things like that too?
That, yeah. That's another improvement that we put out there. Matter of fact, Rubio and I were talking about that this morning. We have some bleachers that we need to replace. So he's taking count, and we're gonna see what we can't swing this year.
Yeah, there's 6, by the way.
Okay.
On that one for the commercial, is that one, the one on Love, is it priority over this one, or this one goes?
The one on Love is a priority. This is a lower priority. And that was established the very first meeting that we had in this board. Yes.
Speaking of Love, did we ever get that pole with the electrical issues fixed? Remember we had complained about, that we had some gains there and then.
That was actually plumbing,
Yeah.
and it was fenced off. It has been fixed since then.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been fixed. It's covered.
I just remember that.
Yeah.
Check it out. Thank you.
And of course, Harold Reynolds, it does need a new irrigation system. It's a little bit lower down, but that's one of the things that we do have planned for. But other than that, those are right now all of the projects that we have in the ICIP. And that's really all we have to report.
Questions?
Who's working on that design for the church?
That was awarded to Pettigrew Associates, and I can't remember the name of the landscape firm off the top of my head.
So Andrew, did you have concerns with about your concern about the parks?
It's been approached, I just talked to Evan Coleman before I came up here, just, man, with the number of calls that you get over
Go ahead, let's go ahead and discuss it so we can get it out there.
the softball fields on North Love.
Mm-hmm.
They're planning to host a big tournament, looking at around 30 teams from all over. And their main concern is the condition of the fencing around the.
When you say they, who was that?
The guys that are running the softball league, which would be.
Robert? Is it Robert Vega?
Robert Vega and
Yeah.
Olevo Valdez.
Yeah, I've been talking to him about that. But they didn't mention anything about the fence.
So what are
Yeah,
the
I know
concerns?
about the 2 areas for sure.
I asked them the concerns and they're okay with everything else, just the fencing.
Fencing.
What's wrong
The
with
outer
that?
fence, right?
I said, right, just in general, the whole,
What's wrong with it? According to them, what's wrong with
just, they're bent out of shape, patch jobs. It just time is taking a toll on it.
Yeah, and that's how all the fields are. You know, and I mentioned to Andrew, if you really compare, not just because they're my field, but if you really compare the Harold Reynolds field compared to the Love field, our fencing is way out of, is in worse condition behind the plates because the balls, that fence is actually up. And then
Yeah.
staked down, theirs are actually in decent condition compared to what the other fields are.
Yeah, they were in great condition, but whenever we go around with the tiller actually gets caught sometimes on the fence because it sticks out more than it should. And then it'll cause it, like, it'll pick it up. And then we have to, like, either patch it out. I mean, if it's something that needs to be redone, I mean, we're more than willing to do it.
Do we have the?
Budget-wise, are you able?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know about I mean, on my budget, I mean, it looks pretty good, but, I mean, like James said, I don't know how good the funds are.
I mean, the perfect solution is go and replace it, but we may just have to because of the economy, live with patching for right now. But that's something that we can definitely look at and see what we can do.
We do. Cause I hadn't heard about it. You probably have.
No, I've
They put
never
steel in
heard,
it?
that was the first time about the fencing, that's the first time I ever heard. First it was lighting, the lighting got fixed, and that's 100%. But I've never seen pretty
And I did go out there, and I mean, it's time. It's time.
It's been,
Yeah, I'm sure there's other things too that do.
Time and money, that's what it's all about.
So,
And we got plenty of time.
Did they have other concerns when you spoke to them?
No, they didn't. I mean, other than another field back there that they never used, they wanted that one to be maintenance so they can use it. But other than that, they didn't say anything about any fencing. But
what's the reason why that one in the back does not work? Like,
well, they
don't
just
use it?
never use it. So I mean, we usually use the bases from over there because the bases they usually end up being stuck with the anchors because we have to constantly move them at different feet. And so I mean, other than that, I mean, I told them that I'll have it ready by then. It's on the 22nd, right?
I'm not sure what the dates
Oh, they're
are.
for fall ball?
For
Oh, the tournament, the
Yeah.
22nd,
Yeah, because they want all four of them. Yeah, but we're familiar with the fencing. We patch it as good as we can. There's a guy around there that he lets his dogs, like he has his own little trails all through there. And you know we've called the cops and nothing's really done about it.
They're out there every day, they're out there.
With the dogs?
Well, we practice every day for a traveling team that we're on, and their dogs are out there every day.
Yeah, they create holes all through there. It's like a trail.
And the little girls can't go towards the back because he starts going crazy.
Who starts moving?
The dog.
Oh. So do we have any signage in place for that? You know, that controls the dogs or any policy in place for that? Do we have policies in place for that?
Actually, ordinance that dogs have to be leashed.
Okay. So the officers won't do anything? Is that what you said?
Well, they went over there and what the cop said was like, you know, he's a good guy and that. He's not all there, I don't think. I don't know.
Okay.
But you know,
It just sounds like it
it's
needs
just smack on
enforcement
the
there.
hand. I mean, nothing really done. So we're not out there 24/7. So it's being done at after work, stuff like that.
Do you see it?
Yeah, after 6 o'clock.
We'll call the call, please.
Snitches get stitches.
And that's really one of the big concerns though is when we patch something up, it's back to where it's at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they use the field that nobody's using. That's where he's at. He gets tennis balls and he throws them out in the field, and that's the field that he uses. The field that no one uses, that's in bad shape, that's the one he's at. All the other ones, he don't come near it, but whenever kids do get near there, his dog does not like to be approached by kids.
Well, we just need to, maybe just inform them, if he's a guy that they should understand. And if he doesn't comply, then we'll enforce it. And it's for, taking our fields, for public use.
One of the kids too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay, I have a talk with him every time, but
Do you?
he always like changes the subject. That's why I think like he's not all there, because he doesn't ever really get my point, no matter how many times I say it.
Well, maybe he needs to see a citation or something, a warning or something, to get his attention, because nothing's working at this point. That's what I would suggest.
He
You guys agree
lives
with that?
next door. He lives in that trailer park next door, and it's easier for him to go there, but I think that's where he lives.
Yeah, he lives right there.
That's what I would suggest, is get an officer out there and talk to him first. Try to get him to comply, get him to comply, and see if there's some other issues there, and we need to address whatever issues are.
Yeah.
We need to get the ball rolling on it. I would think.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Very good. Anything else, any other discussion?
I have one about the Hope Park, the top rail on the guard fence to keep the kids out of the street. All the ends are loose and hanging down. They need to be pulled back up even with the top of the fence. I'm afraid they're gonna try to climb on it, and it's just gonna get worse if it's not put back up.
Built wrong in the first place.
Yeah,
I don't know who Jimmy had to put that in, but they didn't know what to do.
and also the second tree, the one that's right in the middle, there's a big branch hanging down. It doesn't affect the kids too much, but I watch parents having to duck, you know, going in there like that, so.
We can get it,
All the parks are looking really good because of the rain. Everything's looking really green right now. It looks good. Everything
And
looks
the weeds getting tall.
Oh, yeah.
Had to cut my grass this weekend.
On the splash pad, you said you're gonna do a total cost.
Chemicals and electricity.
Okay. Are we metering it? Meters, water?
Actually, how is that water is metered going?
The main supply is metered.
Nothing else? It doesn't go to anything else?
It doesn't count the recirc water or anything like that. Just the main water to keep the tank full.
Is that AstroTurf helping with the sand getting in there?
Was that the only issue you had out there was the drains?
well, we have a few of them, they're getting a lot of the sand, water or rain, it just ran right into that rain. Goes into the sand filters, you'd think that wouldn't matter, but it does, when you lose the pressure in the earth. We'd out here 4 or 5 times a day, back washing. But there was a lot of usage. But now, you know, usually about once a day, maybe we check it in the morning. Of course, not much use right now.
Right, and talking with Vortec, if we have problems where we're having to backwash it more than 2 to 3 times a day, there's another type of I can't remember, medium, filtering medium, that we can replace it with. So,
Any update on the pool repairs?
waiting on quote, we have to get our 3
Yeah.
quotes, we're looking at least 30,000. The leak was not in the pool itself. The leak was in plumbing underneath the, on the exterior of the pool, which is a good thing. It's easily fixed. However, Leo is getting quotes to get that pipe fixed as well as replastering the pool. It's time to have the pool replastered. So just to follow the procurement code, we have to get the 3 written quotes because it's going to exceed $20,000. So get that last quote and we'll be up and running by next year.
And how old is the pool? I can't remember.
I do not remember when.
About 10 years, about 10, 11 years.
I don't think that long.
When I first came on
2008.
with Leticia was there,
What was
that,
it?
it wasn't,
2008.
yeah, it was in 2008 when I started working there. 8 years.
I just remember Jesse telling me what he was working there like 9 years, but I think he meant in general.
Well, I do appreciate you bringing that concern to the table, and that's what we need, that's what this is for. Appreciate you guys looking at that and taking care of that.
I have a question.
Sure.
We have And that was our project early in 2009, I believe, was the skate park. Nobody uses the skate park anymore. That was a $65,000 project. And at that time, when we brought that project on, there was a lot of people out there at skate parks. Now there's not even one.
I said the one young man that came that really was pushing for it, I don't think I've ever seen him out there.
The year that we actually brought it in, he graduated that year and then he left college. So he really didn't enjoy it much, the one that pushed it. But nothing's being used. Is there anything, an alternative, something else we can maybe put there?
Good point.
Because that's equipment that's just sitting there.
Spaces not being used properly, yeah. Any ideas, James? I know money's an issue, but,
Basketball courts. Of course, I don't know how that stuff is anchored down, if we'd have to resurface it, because we still need to resurface.
You guys, Dennis, wasn't your staff the one that drilled it down? You guys put everything together. Oh, it was Jimmy Ortega's time. Yes, it was Jimmy Ortega's
So
staff.
that's a consideration is, I mean, yeah, we've got a good concrete base, but like MLK, we need to get that court resurfaced. I don't know what the condition is over there. So I don't know right now. I know whenever I go by, I only see maybe 2 kids out
I've
there.
never seen anybody out there in the last year or two. I've seen no one.
See just one or two kids out there.
I mean,
It would probably have to be like bolted down to the concrete.
I think that's what it was.
I was in Albuquerque this past week and I passed by a real big skate park. And there was one guy in it. You know, but it was real nice, probably like 5 times the size of ours. All concrete.
I think it
One
used
guy.
to be popular at one time. I don't think it's as popular as it was.
Yeah.
Well, before you close your splash pad down, you might want to call Bernard and let him know, because I think he plays in that every time he goes up to the park.
I know my son was over there this weekend, so he's still.
All right, and any other discussion about the ICIP? Any other questions, comments from the board? All right, very good. All right, let's move on to public comment. Anybody in the audience who wants to address the board can do so at this time. Do the press. All right.
I keep pressing on.
I see nobody stepping up for public comment. All right. Any other items to discuss from the board? James, anything else?
No, sir.
Mark? Andrew?
Nothing like that. I'll talk to you guys in a second.
Rachel?
The soccer, when are they starting, do you know?
We haven't received any type of request for
Is there even a
reservations.
soccer season?
I just know about football and the softball
I
league.
haven't heard anything. You're right, don't they do usually start around here.
I haven't heard
was
them
told
go
there
do
wasn't
it
a big
again,
soccer.
so I don't know.
I know softball will be starting like within the next 2-3 weeks, and then football is using the baseball fields. Is that
Yeah, they still don't, they haven't told me when they're gonna start. I told Corey, I believe her name is, to let me know as soon as she finds out. She hasn't told me anything yet, because I mean, it's gonna take some time to get those fields done.
There was a separate football league made, and it hurt the local league. I don't think she has enough kids to play. I know that the ones that normally play tackle, everyone's gonna have to do flag because she doesn't have enough kids.
Is that the Ironman league? Is it called?
Ironman, Ironman football. Yeah, they went ahead and did like a traveling football team for ages, and they have one big team for every grade, but it took away from the local league, and she doesn't have enough kids to play.
It's kind of like with the softball league too. Robert was telling me that he didn't know if they were gonna have it either, but he just told me, I believe today, that they were gonna do it in the tournament.
My niece signed her daughter up like 2 weeks ago for softball, so.
Mine did the spring and the fall, and I know that they extended it 2 or 3 more weeks because there wasn't enough girls coming back. I don't know. I'm assuming they are gonna do it. So it's just been tough coming from the same town that there's not enough kids to go around. And
I figured there would be though. There's a lot more kids here.
Yeah.
just that nobody lives with James, matter of fact, when I was in Alton Creek the other day, at a mayor summit, the chairman of the legislative committee said that for the fiscal year ending 2017, that the state is gonna be $326 million in the hole. So they expect the state to
Yeah, to come after your coffers.
come for our money, okay?
That's right.
And I know that James has already done a good job and make sure that everything is obligated, that we have, make sure that they can't sweep anything.
That's the key.
Because they're gonna be coming after folks just like this. And just because we're frugal with our money, it doesn't mean that we need to give it up and we don't need to, we don't want to. So just food for thought. Just let you guys know.
Yeah. Did the GRTs go up any? Oh, that explains it.
This meeting was going so good.
Well, I normally ask every month around 15, 16, how's the GRTs going? But I've actually missed it a couple of days. How much of a punch in the gut was it this time? 100,000?
No,
No.
about 50.
Unisys lost in revenue from this past GRT compared to last year. They lost 55% in revenue.
Do we need to discuss about having another replacement for Victoria if she had moved to Albuquerque?
I believe so.
We'll call her and find out if she has in fact, then we'll just start requesting people to apply.
Do we have rules and regulations where you can miss so many meetings? Is there?
Well, if she's not here to see what's going on, it's kind of hard for her to be on the board, and if she can come back to the meeting,
Sure.
you know, put
Yeah.
input in.
West would have a good too.
I think you have to live there. That's the reason why Clint Lauren quit, because he was not living in Texas City.
Right. Exactly. Anything further, James?
No, sir.
All right. If there's no further discussion, we'll call this meeting adjourned.